My name is Dr. Yoni Witten. I'm the creator of the Pain Fix Protocol, and this week I want to talk to you about how poor posture can slowly and quietly ruin your quality of life and directly interfere with you doing the things that you love to do. So check this out. So there are hundreds, if not thousands, of products on the market nowadays that are claiming to fix your posture. What I want to talk to you about today is not another product or method for fixing posture, but instead the reasons why you should fix your posture. Now, everybody knows that poor posture adds years to your physical appearance and it absolutely looks awful. This is the reason why all of our parents spent so much time telling us to sit up straight and stand tall. But what most people don't know is that poor physical posture has been directly tied in the scientific literature to pain, physical dysfunction, and disability. It limits you from doing the things that you love to do and leads to low quality living. And the reason that it does this is really simple. It's because when you alter the physical structure of something, you alter its ability to function. So just look at these two wheels, for example. Do you think that the wheel on the left would roll differently from the wheel on the right? Well, obviously, yes, right? Well, it works exactly the same way in the human body. And when you came into the world, you look something like this. This is the fetal position that everybody's familiar with. This is also called the primary curve or a kyphotic curve. This is a curve that looks like a shrimp where it's folding in on itself. Now, this is what your spine looked like when you were born. All it has is that single primary curve in it. And for as long as you're in this shape, you're completely dependent on others to fulfill even your most basic needs. It's not until around age 4 months where you begin to form your first secondary curve that you develop any capacity to take care of yourself. The formation of the first secondary curve in your neck gives you for the first time visual access to your environment. It allows you to hold your head up, turn your head. It leads to things like grasping objects and even crawling. What a huge functional leap you take with the formation of that first curve. The formation of subsequent secondary curves leads to even more advanced functionality and greater levels of independence. Things like sitting up unassisted, standing, and then walking, and then even into the formation of secondary curves down into the feet, which leads to running, jumping, bounding, way more efficient walking, and things like skipping. So like the rough cut stone that will be cut into the wheel, as you get closer and closer to your final shape, you develop more refined motion and way higher levels of functionality. The adult human spine contains two areas of primary curve. These are remnants from the curve that you were born with, and then two areas of secondary curve in the neck and in the lower back. It's important to point out here that the neck and the lumbar spine are the areas of greatest mobility in the spine, and they're what permit us to move and do all the incredible things that we do as fully developed human beings. The problem is that in modern society, people are beginning to lose these curves at earlier and earlier ages. So we're seeing this pop up in even adolescents and young adults. And the reason for this is really simple. It's because modern society has become one long string of what are called flexion-based activities. Those are activities where you're seated with your head down and your arms out in front of you. Think working on a laptop computer. Now, when you go through decades and decades of being in this position, you end up pulling all of those secondary curves out of your body. And then you lose the corresponding functionality that's associated with having those secondary curves. And when this happens, it leads to something called posture prolapse syndrome. Now, somewhere between 66 and 85% of our population nowadays shows overt physical signs of having posture prolapse syndrome. 66 to 85%. So this is an extremely common condition. And this is how the symptomatic progression with posture prolapse syndrome usually goes. In the early stages, you wouldn't notice very much. You're going to experience some stiffness, some minor aches and pains, and some loss of motion that won't really impact your life on a daily basis. As you move into greater levels of postural dysfunction, you're going to start to get some pain. Usually you've lost about 20 to 30% of the motion in your spine by this point. You'll start to notice temporomandibular joint dysfunction, decreased energy levels. You might start to get some varicose veins and some minor disc bulges. And you'll start to find that you get injured a lot more easily than you used to. This is the thing like where you wake up in the morning and you have no idea what happened and all of a sudden you're injured. When you get into more advanced stages, it becomes way more overt. You can start to get severe headaches, nerve compression at this point where you're getting that numbness and tingling either in the hands or in the feet. You can get deformities of the hands and feet and the hips. Rotator cuff tears are extremely common, 22 times more likely for people suffering from posture prolapse. Fibromyalgia and effects on your affect and your mood, depression has been linked to postural dysfunction. And this is where you start to have difficulty with your activities of daily living. Research has shown that people with posture prolapse syndrome have difficulty with things like grasping, walking, climbing stairs, and even getting up out of a chair. So as you revert back into that primary curve, that fetal position, you're losing your ability to function independently and you're becoming increasingly dependent on others. When you get into the advanced stages, you have severe joint degeneration and arthritis. You can have balance problems. Breathing problems are super common. Research has shown that you can lose as much as 30% of your vital lung capacity, and yes, even early death. Posture prolapse syndrome has been linked to 2.5 times greater likelihood of dying from atherosclerosis and twice as likely to die from pulmonary conditions. And the reason for this is simple. When you alter the physical structure of something, you alter its ability to function. So yes, poor posture looks awful. And yes, it adds years to your physical appearance. But there are many, many other reasons to focus on fixing your posture. And I hope you'll do that. I hope you found this video interesting. If you or someone you love is suffering from posture prolapse syndrome, please share this information with them or send them over to painfixprotocol.com, where you can learn all about eliminating pain, moving better, and taking back your life.